So, hi there, everybody, and welcome to segment number two of our final briefing for my MET English majors. So, let us continue. So, tumigil tayo, I guess, number 50. So, let me share my screen once again. Here we go. So number 51, ang sabi dito, comprehend the following text and I'll read. If you feel downcast because you have gained weight during this Christmas season, let the words of St. Thomas Aquinas, who was himself known for being fat, console you. In his commentary on the fourth book of Aristotle, he wrote, small and thin individuals can be called pretty because of the appropriate proportion of their size in relation to their limbs, but they cannot be called beautiful because of the lack of magnitude that can sufficiently exude a splendor of order that catches the eye. Beauty can only be found in a large body. Okay. So number 51. Who was defending those who had a large body? Is it A, the large people, B, St. Thomas Aquinas, C, Aristotle, or D, small and thin individuals? Now, clearly, the answer here is St. Thomas Aquinas. Ayan. Now, number 52. Based on the text, who can be called pretty? Is it A, people with large bodies, B, Aristotle, C, small and thin individuals, or D, those who have splendor in their bodies? This is quite easy. The answer is small and thin individuals. Pretty raw yung mga small and thin individuals, but mga kaibigan, beautiful naman daw yung merong magnitude, 'di ba? Sabihin yung mga larger bodies. So ayan. So number 52, letter C. Now, how about number 53? According to the quote, what do small and thin people lack to be called beautiful? And I think I answered this a while ago. The answer is magnitude. So letter D. I think nandoon din naman yun sa dun sa text, 'di ba? Magnitude. Next, number 54, a news show blank on ABS-CBN 2 days ago. Launch, will be launched, or is launching? The answer must be was launched. So ayan, a new show was launched on ABS-CBN 2 days ago. Next, number 55, lagi lumalabas to. I watched the blank news on television. Late, latest, later, lately. Now, mga kaibigan, kasi ngayon wala na to ngayon eh. Pero during my time, my dear friends, meron kami mga late news na tinatawag natin. Yung mga World Tonight, mga ganyan. So the answer here is late news on television. Isipin yung mga news na tinetelecast or broadcast tuwing gabi. Now, ang tanong, bakit hindi pwedeng latest or later kasi we are not comparing. Wala naman tayong kinukumpara. And yung later is comparative and latest is superlative. At di lang yan mga kaibigan. I think pag sinabing latest news, ito ay redundant because when you say news, it must be really the latest news, di ba? So in here, the answer is letter A, late news. Okay. Number 56, the word baduy means ito ay awkward looking, di ba? Yan, awkward looking. Number 57 was repeated. So I think kanina nasagot natin ito. The Philippines had signed the ASEAN integration before Timor-Leste applied for inclusion. This would be letter A. Number 58, professionals blank the concerns of clients regularly. Is it handle, will handle, have handled, or handles? The answer here is professionals handle the concerns of clients regularly because we use the present tense for habitual action. And since our clue here is regularly, it means habitual yung ginagawa nila. So present tense tayo dyan. Professionals handle. Letter A. Oryx rental blank a fleet of 32 cars on Saturday. Buy, bought, buys, will buy. The answer here is letter D, will buy. Ayan, on Saturday. Kasi kung yan ay past na dapat last Saturday. So, Oryx rental will buy a fleet of 32 cars on Saturday. Letter D. Number 60, Rolls-Royce blanked the Philippine market a few years ago. Has entered, had entered, entered, or will enter. Now, ito ay medyo mahirap. There are two top choices, has entered and entered. Ano nga ba magkakaiba nito? When we say has entered, it means we're using the present perfect tense, which means the action started somewhere in the past, continued up until the present, and there are two possible options. Number one, the action is still happening. Or number two, the action just ended. And when we say simple past, letter C, entered, it means an action that happened in the past. And since enter can only happen once, pagpasok mga kaibigan, hindi ka naman pwedeng pumasok continuously hanggang sa present. I think the best answer here is letter C, the simple past, entered. Oh, ayan. Number 61. Comprehend the following text. Learning is seen where there is a change in behavior as caused by experience. Experience can come in two forms, personal and vicarious. A personal experience is something that a person concerned directly felt, saw, heard, tasted, or smelled, while vicarious experience is something the person observed in others. So mga kaibigan, ang tawag dito, sabi dito, how many ways of learning are present in the paragraph, mga kaibigan? And I think ito ay nabanggit na dito. The experience can come in two forms. So ito ay personal and vicarious, meaning dalawa. So the answer is letter B, two. Number 62, in the courtroom, the judge said that the findings have no bearing because they are A, inaccurate, B, inadmissible, C, confusing, or D, inedible. Mga kaibigan, hindi pwedeng inedible, hindi rin pwedeng confusing, and the top two choices are inaccurate and inadmissible. But the answer here is letter B, inadmissible. Hindi pwedeng tanggapin. Ayan. Number 63, the newly elected president demonstrated great aplomb in dealing with the nasty and foul questions thrown by the reporters. The capitalized word means nervousness, hesitation, composure, or anger. Ito, tingin ko perfect na gamitin natin yung technique ng Sarnoy, yung pag-label kung positive ba or negative. So let's do it. Nervousness, negative. Hesitation, negative. Composure, positive, anger, negative. So the only positive here is composure. And true enough, yun ang sagot. Letter C, composure. Number 63, the victim's request to reopen the case, blank, very reasonable. Is it were, are, is, or will be? Now, mga kaibigan, ito ay I think the verb must agree with the subject at yun na yung request ng victim. Kaya naman dapat siya ay singular. So that's why the answer here is letter C is very reasonable. The victim's request to reopen the case is very reasonable. Letter C. Number 65, again, vocabulary. Nostradamus' apocalyptic view of the future is one of the most alarming in history. The capitalized word means destructive, scary, encouraging, exact. Actually, mga kaibigan, lagi po lumalabas talaga ang word na apocalyptic. Para siyang apocalypse, parang the end, parang end of the world, mga kaibigan. So I think the answer here is destructive. Ayan, letter A, destructive. Parang the end of the world. Next, number 66 is pronoun. I cannot find blank book. May I photocopy blank Paul? I cannot find my book. May I photocopy yours, Paul? So mga kaibigan, in here, the answer is letter C. My book. May I photocopy yours, Paul? Oh, ayan. So letter C. Number 67, in Philippine literature, who is the writer known as Huseng Sisiu? Walang iba kundi si Jose de la Cruz. Ayan, si Jose de la Cruz. Next, number 68, the goddess Aphrodite is the phantom of delight. The sentence is an example of, ito na naman, figures of speech na naman tayo mga kaibigan. Metaphor, simile, irony, or hyperbole. Hyperbole, it is not exaggeration. Irony, wala namang contradiction of events. So dalawa lang ang pagpipilian is either metaphor or simile. So what do you think? Well, my dear friends, it is a metaphor. Kasi wala naman tayong ginamit na words na as or like. So letter A, metaphor. Number 69, one of my most favorite poems ever. It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea. Um, there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabelle. Parang may mali sa poem na to. This line is from a poem written by, is it A. John Keats, B. William Wordsworth, C. Edgar Allan Poe, or D. Robert Frost? The answer is C. Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah, and he wrote the poem Annabelle Lee. It was many and many years ago in a kingdom by the sea that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee. So kulang pala ng segment tong nasa exam natin. Anyway, number 70, the poem Invictus, one of my most favorite poems ever. The line, my head is bloody but unbound, is an example of, is it A, metaphor, B, oxymoron, C, irony, or D, hyperbole? Nako, lagi to lumalabas sa exam. And some of them would answer hyperbole or exaggeration. Pero mga kaibigan, when we say hyperbole, it means it is impossible to happen. Talagang di siya pwede mangyari. Pero mga kaibigan, um, making your making your head bloody is quite attainable. Madali naman yan. So for me, para sa akin lang to, ang sagot ko dito is irony. Because usually, when your head is bloody, yun yung una kong event doon mga kaibigan. When your head is bloody, you are defeated. 'Di ba? And the expectation, if your head is bloody and you're defeated, then by all means, you must stoop down. Pero no, that is not the ending. That is not the end event. In the end event, the head was unbowed. So tingin ko mayroong contradiction of what is being expected from what really happened. So for me, my answer here is irony, letter C. Number 71. Based on the reports of the inspector, the edifice collapsed because of blank joints. Lose are losing, lose or lost. Top two choices would have to be lose, Loose, and lose, Lose. Now, pag lose, Loose, it is an adjective, while Lose is a verb. Ang ibig sabihin ng lose, Loose, ay maluwag. Samantalang Lose na verb, ibig sabihin natalo or nawala. So in here, my dear friends, since the blank appears before the noun, think of we're looking for an adjective. So the answer here is letter A, loose. Ayan. Yung parang maluwag na mga joints. Ayan ha. So number 71 is letter A. Number 72, again, vocabulary. Teachers always transmute the grades of the students. The capitalized word means change. Although for us teachers, parang panag-transmute tayo, matik eh, parang tumataas ang scores ng mga bata. Pero transmute means change. Tandaan, transmute means change. Letter A. Number 73, comprehend the following text. Dictatorship is a form of government in which an individual or a group holds absolute power. The term dictator originated in ancient Rome. The Roman Senate often appointed an individual as a temporary dictator to handle national emergencies without the approval of the Senate. Based on the text, dictatorship has its roots in in this era of history. Greek Empire, Spanish colonization, Roman Empire, or Babylonian era. That is quite obvious, mga kaibigan, nabanggit din mismo sa paragraph. The answer is Roman era. Letter C. Okay, number 74. This is also very common. This Shakespearean play talks about the ill-fated love affair between two individuals from warring families. It is quite easy. Again, the answer is letter A, Romeo and Juliet. Number 75. The cost of a new computer is quite expensive for blank. Besides, we have more urgent things to prioritize. Is it us, them, we, or they? Again, pronoun na naman to mga kaibigan. The cost of a new computer is quite expensive for us. Letter A. Oh, ayan. Number 76. Karenin, Anna's husband, was betrayed for a number of times, and yet he bears no rancor in his heart. He is not blank. Rancor means a bitter. So he is not bitter because he bears no rancor. So the answer here is letter B, bitter. Now, how about number 77? The statements of the witness are impertinent to the case because they are. Now, my dear friends, when we say impertinent, it means irrelevant. So impertinent means irrelevant. Letter B. Lagi lumalabas sa exam actually. And if you have our new normal edition, ating Met New Normal Edition, si Mr. Padilla, your facilitator tonight, ang ginawa ko dyan ay na-compile ko lahat ng mga vocabs na lumalabas sa exam in the past 10 years. So please check it out. Ha? Next, the participants looked blank. They showed great enthusiasm for the lectures. Angry, offended, interested, happy. Great enthusiasm. Syempre, di pwedeng angry or offended. Interested, of course. The participants look interested. So, letter C. Number 79. The Greek literary character who launched a thousand ship is sino? Si Helen, the face who launched a thousand ships. So for me, the answer is letter C, Helen. Next, number 80. Who is the most famous proponent of the arena theater in the Philippines? Of course, Severino Montano, mga kaibigan. So si Severino Montano po talaga ang sinasabi natin na proponent ng arena theater na yan. Teka lang mga kaibigan, parang naghang ata si Mr. Padilla. Teka lang, let me check. Okay, so let me share my screen again. Ayan. Yan. So, Severino Montano. Next, number 81, the chief, parang tongue twister ito. The chief chef instructed his students to be careful not to hurt blank while slicing the onions. Nako, ano yan? Themselves, ourselves, their selves. Siyempre, obviously, wala namang their selves. Sorry, ourselves ba yan or themselves? Well, themselves, pertaining to the students. So, the chief chef instructed his students to be careful not to hurt themselves while slicing the onions. Number 82. The transport system in the Philippines blank drastically in the last 10 years. Did improve, had improved, has been improving. Hindi pwedeng did improve, it will be not grammatical. Hindi rin pwedeng letter B, had improved. Kasi pag had improved, it means past perfect ito. At pag past perfect, dapat dalawang past action. Ito isa lang naman, yung nasa blank lang natin. So, mamimili tayo. Is it has improved, meaning the present perfect tense, or has been improving, meaning present perfect progressive? But in here, my dear friends, I think para malaman natin ang sagot, we have to ask ourselves if we are sure that the transport system will continue to improve in the future. If we are sure that the transport system will continue to improve in the future, then we may use the present perfect progressive. Pero if not, then we may use the present perfect tense. And for me, mga kaibigan, present perfect tense lang ito. So the answer is has improved drastically in the last 10 years. So yeah, number 82 is letter C. Number 83, I used my name on it. Mr. Padilla finally found the time to sleep after working for a number of hours. So letter B, working. Next, number 84. Dito medyo marami nalilito. Bread and butter blank acting is, was, are, or were. Mga kaibigan, when we say bread and butter, it becomes idiomatic. Ibig sabihin, not literally yung tinapay at butter, but it means that is your work. That is your job. Yun yung pinagkukuhaan mo ng kinakain mo. So, the answer here is. My bread and butter is acting. Okay. Number 85. When Sam failed his exam for the second time, he resorted to Dutch courage before he went home to break the news to his family. What does Dutch courage mean? Well, ito yung parang naglalasing ka. I don't know kung ano ba ang etymology nito, kung saan ba ito kinuha, pero yun talaga yung idiom na yon. Yung talagang kailangan mo ng spirit ng alcohol. So ano yung mga options? At ang dyan, a trial or practice performance, courage, which one gets from drinking alcohol, ayan na nga. C, a fair chance to do something, or D, partial payment paid. So the answer is letter B, yung influence ng alcohol, di ba? Kayo ba ganyan? Pag meron kayong kailangan sabihin mahalaga, kailangan nyo mang medyo uminom ng alcoholic drinks? Or prayers lang? Sana prayers lang. Number 86, comprehend the text. Culture is a term used by social scientists for a way of life. Every human society has a culture. Culture includes a society's arts, beliefs, customs, institutions, inventions, language, technology, and values. A culture produces similar behavior and thought among most people in a particular place. What did social scientists define? Well, this is very obvious. Culture. Letter C, culture. Ayan. Number 87. Edgar Allan Poe wrote The Raven, from which the line is taken, and the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain. Which of the following figure of speech is used by the poet to establish a mood? Onomatopoeia, alliteration, allusion, or metaphor? For me, dalawa lang ang pagpipilian dito. It's either alliteration, yung silken, sad, uncertain, di ba? Rustling, or yung onomatopoeia, yung rustling of each purple curtain. Sabi yung pag-rustle niya. And I think, my dear friends in here, the proper answer, or for me, I will answer here is onomatopoeia because we're thinking about the mood. The parang when you imagine the rustling of each purple curtain, feeling mo talagang merong soft wind na dumadaan para gumalaw yung mga kortina. It rustles. So for me, I don't know with you, pero para sa akin, my answer is onomatopoeia. Although, tough choice din yung alliteration kasi nga daw sa silken sad and certain. Anyway, next, number 88. Ito naman ay sikat na lines galing sa Broadway musical na Cats ni Andrew Lloyd Webber. At ito ay naging sikat na kanta na kinanta naman ni Barbara Streisand, Memory. Sabi dito, Memory, all alone in the moonlight, I can smile at the old days, I was beautiful then. I remember the time I knew what happiness was, let the memory live again. So ano raw ba ang mood na pinapatungkulan dito? Is it fear, eagerness, nostalgia, and humor? Hindi naman siya humor. Malungkot nga to eh, di ba? Hindi rin pwedeng eagerness. So top two choices, fear and nostalgia. Pero I think the lines would not in any way exhibit fear. In here is like painful remembrance of the past. And when we say painful remembrance of the past, yung pag-alala sa nakaraan na may konting kurot sa puso, ang tawag doon nostalgia. So the answer in number 88 is letter C, nostalgia. Oh, ayan. Next, number 89. Pero teka lang ah. Parang naghahang na naman nata ako. Wait a minute. And we're back. Let me share again my screen. I'm so sorry for that. Ayan. So please check out yung segment number 1 ha. This is segment number 2 na. Kaya dapat alam natin yan. Kasi baka na, sabi ba't number 51 nagsimula? Meron segment number 1, please click the video first. So Walter de la Mare wrote Silver, from which the lines were below are taken. Slowly, silently, the moon walks the night in her silver shown. This way and that she peers and sees silver fruit upon the trees. Which figures of speech is used, mga kaibigan? Pero I think in here, if you would think about it, talagang feeling ko sound device ang hinahanap dito. So what are the options? Assonance, personification, and then metaphor and simile. Medyo mahirap tong choice na to kasi it can either be assonance kasi meron siyang repetition of diphthongs and vowel sounds na malapit sa each other. Pero pwede rin siyang personification kasi nga in here yung moon ang binigyan ng pagkakataon na magkaroon siya ng mga humanly attributes. Like halimbawa, walks in the night in a silver shoon, and then she peers and sees silver fruit upon silver trees, 'di ba? So what do you think is the answer here? For me, it's personification. Ayan. So letter B ang sagot ko dito. Personification. Kayo ba? Yun yung sagot nyo? But sabi ko nga sa inyo mga kaibigan, don't take my word for it. You still have time. If you think mali ang sagot ni Mr. Padilla, you can just research and inform us sa comment section. Yan, open naman tayo dito mga kaibigan. Nobody has the monopoly of knowledge, 'di ba? So talagang minsan baka naman mali ang pagkakaintindi ko. So ang gawin nyo, confirm, i-validate nyo yung mga sagot. And I think that is the best way to go, 'di ba? Do your own research or practice due diligence. Oh, ayan. Next, number 90, comprehend the following text. The nitrogen cycle is a circulation of nitrogen and its compounds by living organisms in nature. Science. Nitrogen in the air passes into the soil where it is oxidized by a process called nitrogen fixation. Tanong, where does nitrogen get oxidized? Kakasabi ko lang, soil. So letter B. Sabi siya, no? Nitrogen in the air passes into the soil where it is oxidized. Saan siya na-oxidize? Sa soil. So letter B. Number 91. This is a set of verbal or written symbols used by humans to communicate. Is it A, understanding, B, encyclopedia, C, language, or D, dictionary? Siyempre, language. Of course, the answer is letter C. Number 92, the Department of Education blank K-12 before the Commission on Higher Education blank preparing for 2016. So ito ba ay, again, parang dalawa na naman ang actions nito mga kaibigan. So let's see. Ito by A, had implemented before CHED began preparing, had begun K+12, before CHED implemented preparing, parang out na yun ha. Or letter C, the Department of Education implemented the K+12 before the Commission on Higher Education had begun preparing, or has begun and then implemented. Mga kaibigan, is letter A. The Department of Education had implemented K+12 before the Commission on Higher Education began preparing for 2016. So ayan, number 92 is letter A. Number 93, The fourth year high school students were told not to visit the Enchanted Kingdom before graduation, but they blank on what they wanted. Which verb tense will best fit if the writer wants to create the effect of emphasis? Ayan, emphasis mga kaibigan ha. Simple past, insisted. Past perfect, had insisted. Past progressive, were insisting. Or the emphatic past, did insist. Pero mga kaibigan, ang sabi natin mga kaibigan dito, ang ating keyword is emphasis. And my dear friends, what are our emphatic verbs? Not empathic as in empathy, but emphatic as in emphasis. We have do, does, did. So mga kaibigan, what's the answer? The fourth year high school students were told not to visit EK before graduation, but they did insist on what they wanted because you want to emphasize it. So the answer is letter D, did insist, but they did insist on what they wanted. Number 94, the world blank, the the UN Day every October, the world celebrates, mga kaibigan. Siyempre, the world celebrates. Bakit siya present? Siyempre, habitual action. So the world celebrates. Next, number 95. The Board of Trustees will be convening in 10 minutes. Letter C, in 10 minutes. Okay. Number 96. The students who made the commotion in the library are now investigating, of course not. Investigated, not really, kasi are now eh. So being investigated or investigates are now being investigated. Parang ang may mali itong tanong na to eh. Parang kailangan meron siyang on or what. Pero the best answer for this number is letter C, being investigated. Number 97, the statistics blank that the dropout rate is high. This year is high. Statistics, mathematics, physics. Wala naman po statistic. So lagi siyang may S mga kaibigan. So the statistics shows that the dropout rate this year is high. Letter A. Yan. Mathematics is my favorite subject. You know, pwede mathematics are, tama? So the statistics shows that the dropout rate this year is high. Number 98, coordinators regularly blank teachers to determine their competence. Again, regularly. It means habitual action. So we're looking for the present tense. Coordinators, meaning plural. So observe. Coordinators regularly observe teachers to determine their competence. Letter C. Ayan, number 99. Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez blank in the position since 2016. Well, I guess ito ay ano kasi parang may time frame tayo since 2016 eh parang luma na ata tong tanong na to parang 2023 na. Pero what do you think is the answer here? Is it A, has been um parang wala siyang verbose out na yung letter A. Has been holding, had been holding, or will have been holding. Hindi pwedeng had been holding kasi pag had been holding, dapat siya ay present perfect progressive na dapat dalawang dapat siya ay past perfect progressive na dapat dalawang past actions. Isa lang naman dito. So the best answer is has been holding, letter B. At anong tense yan? Present perfect progressive. Ayan. Number 100, the Philippine government with all of its officials blank one of the greatest institutions in Asia. Parang hindi. Is, are, or will be. Now, mga kaibigan, the Philippine government ang ating focus dito. Hindi naman yung officials, di ba? So the answer here is the Philippine government with all of its officials is one of the largest institutions in Asia. At ito mga kaibigan, ang end ng segment 2. So paklik lang po ng segment number 3. Okay? So again, reminders while I'm preparing for this, for segment number 3, again, mga kaibigan, tandaan natin na do not take my word for it. Do your research, my dear friends, para mas sure tayo sa mga sagot natin. Anyway, antayin nyo ang segment number 3.